The forest was unusually quiet that evening, the kind of quiet that made even the trees seem like they were holding their breath. Jack Turner, a single dad in his mid-30s, was hiking through the woods after work, searching for fallen branches to use as firewood. His 7-year-old son, Mason, had been begging for a backyard campfire all week, and Jack rarely said no to him. Jack's life wasn't glamorous. He worked long shifts as a mechanic, raised Mason alone, and spent the rest of his time trying to stretch every dollar. But the woods, this part of the old national forest, had always given him peace. He knew its trails like he knew the lines on his palms. That's why, when he heard a faint muffled scream, he froze instantly. It wasn't the call of an animal. It was human. Jack dropped the bundle of sticks and listened harder. Another sound, this time softer, desperate, like someone fighting against the earth itself. He followed it, moving carefully through the trees, pushing aside thick branches until he reached a clearing. The ground looked disturbed, as if someone had thrashed against it. Then he saw it, a hand sticking out from the dirt, fingers trembling weakly. Jack's heart hammered. Someone had been buried alive. He sprinted forward and knelt beside the hand. "Hey, I'm here. I'm going to get you out. Hold on." He dug with his bare hands first, then grabbed a flat piece of wood lying nearby to scoop the dirt faster. The person beneath the ground was breathing, barely. Jack worked until his arms burned, until dirt filled his nails and dust stung his eyes. Finally, he uncovered a face. A young woman, pale, terrified, gasping for air. Her clothes were torn, her wrists bruised, her makeup streaked. She blinked rapidly as fresh air hit her lungs. Jack brushed dirt from her face. "You're safe now. I've got you." She coughed, her voice hoarse. "Don't let them find me." Jack looked around. The woods were silent again, but this time the silence felt wrong. "Who did this to you? What happened?" Tears slipped down her temples. "I can't say. Please, help me get out." Jack continued digging until he freed her completely, pulling her out and helping her sit up against a tree. She trembled violently, her breath short and broken. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Lena," she whispered. "And what happened to you, Lena?" But instead of answering, she grabbed his hand with surprising strength. "Please don't leave me." Jack shook his head. "I'm not going anywhere. Let me call for help." "No," she gasped. "No police. No ambulance. Not yet." Jack paused. "Why not?" She leaned closer and whispered something into his ear, so soft, so chilling, that his breath caught. "They weren't trying to kill me," she said. "They buried me so they could come back, and finish the deal. I escaped too soon. They'll still be looking." Jack felt the hairs on his neck rise. "Who's looking for you?" Lena swallowed hard. "My father is a millionaire. They kidnapped me for ransom, but when he wouldn't pay fast enough, they decided to silence me instead." Jack stared at her. "You're telling me someone tried to bury you alive because your father didn't pay?" She nodded, shaking uncontrollably. "And they'll come back as soon as they realize I'm gone." Jack looked at the ground, at the disturbed soil, at the broken branches around the clearing. Whoever did this wasn't far. They couldn't be. He stood up. "You can't stay here. Come on. Can you walk?" Lena tried, but her legs buckled. Jack caught her and lifted her into his arms without hesitation. She wasn't heavy, but she clung to him with the desperate grip of someone who had tasted death. He carried her through the trees as fast as he could. When they were half a mile from the clearing, he heard it, the faint crunch of leaves behind them. More than one person, moving fast. Jack's chest tightened. "They're coming." Lena whimpered and buried her face in his shoulder. Jack adjusted his grip and moved faster. He knew these woods. He knew every shortcut, every hidden trail, every fallen log that could serve as cover. He turned sharply down a narrow path leading to an old maintenance shed used by park rangers. A dull beam of moonlight hit the rusted roof as they approached. Jack pushed the door open with his shoulder, slipped inside, and locked it. He lowered Lena onto an old cot and crouched beside her. "You're safe in here," he whispered. Outside, footsteps grew louder. Voices echoed through the forest. Jack pressed a finger to his lips. "Don't make a sound." Lena nodded, tears streaming silently. The voices drew closer. Male voices. Angry. Searching. Jack moved toward the window cautiously and peeked through a crack. 3 men with flashlights scanned the woods. One of them kicked the dirt near the trail. "She couldn't have gotten far," one said. "She didn't get out by herself," said another. Somebody helped her. Jack's jaw clenched. Lena grabbed his hand again. They'll hurt you because of me. He squeezed her hand gently. I've faced worse. Minutes passed like hours until finally the men drifted deeper into the woods. Their voices faded. Their flashlights disappeared into the dark. Jack let out a long breath and turned back to Lena. We're getting you out of here, he said. At sunrise, I'll take you and my son to town. We'll go straight to the FBI. They'll protect you and your father. She looked at him, eyes full of gratitude and something else, trust. Why are you helping me? She whispered. Jack sat beside her and smiled faintly. Because no one deserves what you went through. And because if someone ever hurt my son, I'd pray a stranger would do the same. Lena's expression softened in the dim light. You saved my life, she said. But what I whispered earlier, that wasn't all of it. Jack frowned slightly. What do you mean? She leaned close again, her voice trembling. They didn't kidnap me for ransom alone. The man who ordered it was someone my father trusted. Someone powerful. Someone who won't stop. Jack felt a chill run through him. And now, she continued, they'll come after the man who saved me too. Jack looked at the locked shed door, then at her. Let them try, he said quietly. Lena stared at him, this simple, hard-working single dad, with nothing but grit in his chest, and she exhaled with relief. For the first time since she'd been dragged into the woods, she felt hope. And neither of them knew that saving her would change both their lives forever. The annual Westbridge Corporate Expo was packed with CEOs, investors, entrepreneurs, and media. But among them all, the most watched figure was Zaydan al-Rashid, the young Arab billionaire known for his ruthless intelligence and unmatched chess skills. Some called him a genius. Others called him arrogant. Either way, he drew attention everywhere he went. Across the hall stood Elena Carter, CEO of Silverline Tech. Brilliant, confident, and famously competitive. The two had crossed paths before, and neither encounter had ended peacefully. Today, their rivalry had the perfect battleground. A charity chess match in the center of the expo, surrounded by cameras. Closer to the crowd stood someone who didn't fit the scene at all. A quiet single dad named Daniel Brooks, dressed in his simple work uniform. He had been hired only for event maintenance, moving equipment and checking sound cables. But he had brought his 6-year-old daughter, Layla, with him because he couldn't find a babysitter. She sat silently beside him, holding her small sketchbook, watching everything with wide eyes. The chess match began with the kind of icy tension that made people whisper. Elena moved her first piece calmly, but Zaydan responded with a smirk. You'll need more than confidence to beat me, CEO, he said smoothly. Chess is not an app you can update when you fail. The crowd chuckled. Elena's jaw tightened. I don't need updates to beat ego, she answered. Piece after piece moved, each one with the kind of precision only professionals had. But Zaydan soon took control of the board. After just 10 minutes, he leaned back, completely relaxed. You should resign, he said. This board is no place for someone who panics. Elena's confidence wavered. Cameras zoomed in. Reporters leaned forward. The match was slipping away from her. Daniel felt uncomfortable watching the humiliation unfold. He admired Elena. She was known for her honesty, something rare among CEOs. But he kept quiet, it wasn't his place. Layla tugged on his sleeve. Daddy, she whispered, the man made a mistake. Daniel looked at her, confused. What mistake, sweetheart? She pointed at the board. The tall piece. He moved it wrong. Daniel squinted, trying to see from a distance. He wasn't a chess master, but he trusted his daughter. She had a strange gift for patterns. And she was right. Zaydan had moved his rook illegally. Daniel hesitated. He didn't want to interfere in billionaire business. But Layla tugged harder. Tell them, she insisted. It's not fair. Before he could respond, Layla suddenly marched toward the chess table. Daniel rushed after her, but it was too late. She spoke out in a loud, clear voice. You moved the rook the wrong way. The room fell silent. Cameras spun toward the tiny 6-year-old girl. Zaydan frowned, surprised that a child had dared interrupt him. Little one, he said kindly but amused, I assure you, I know how to move a rook. Layla shook her head. No, you don't. You crossed your own bishop. That's not allowed. Elena blinked, realizing the child was right. She turned to Zaydan. Is she correct? Zaydan looked at the board carefully. And for the first time, the arrogant billionaire looked genuinely rattled. Yes, he admitted after a long pause. She is correct, the audience murmured. But the moment that changed everything wasn't the correction, it was what happened next. Layla smiled and said something softly under her breath, in perfect Arabic. Honesty always wins. The billionaire froze. He stared at her as if he had seen a ghost. You speak Arabic? He asked quietly. Layla nodded. Daddy taught me. And Mama used to speak it too. Daniel's heart clenched. He hadn't expected his late wife's language to emerge so suddenly in public. She had been born in Morocco, and he kept her heritage alive for Layla. Zaydan stood from his chair. Something in his expression softened from arrogance to deep respect. Who is your mother? He asked gently. Daniel placed a protective hand on his daughter's shoulder. She passed away 2 years ago. She was from Casablanca. She was proud of her culture. I teach my daughter everything I can. The billionaire swallowed, emotion flickering across his usually cold face. I knew someone like her, he whispered. A woman who believed children should grow up between worlds. 2 cultures, 1 heart. Layla beamed. Daddy says that too. Cameras captured it all. Zaydan, usually a symbol of wealth and power, kneeling in front of a child with genuine awe in his eyes. What is your name, little one? He asked. Layla Brooks. Layla, he repeated gently, you honored the game today with your honesty. And your Arabic, it is beautiful. The crowd melted at the sight. Even Elena looked touched. Zaydan turned to Daniel. You are a single father. Daniel nodded. Yes, I take whatever work I can. She's my whole world. For a long moment, Zaydan studied him, not with judgment but admiration. You are raising her with dignity, he said. I respect that more than wealth. Elena, seizing the moment, spoke up. Daniel, your daughter just saved my match. If you hadn't been here. He shook his head quickly. She did it, not me. But Elena wasn't finished. You know what I see. She said. A father who teaches integrity. A man who works hard and still raises a brilliant child. People like you don't deserve to stay unnoticed. Zaydan agreed. Come work for me, the billionaire said suddenly. Daniel's eyes widened. Sir, I'm not offering charity, Zaydan said firmly. I am offering opportunity. You understand people. You raise a child who sees the truth in a world full of lies. Join my team. You have the values my company lacks. The crowd erupted with surprise. Elena smiled. For what it's worth, Daniel, if you choose him, you're choosing right. And if you choose me, I'll still take you. Daniel was speechless. A janitor, wanted by 2 giants in one day. All because his daughter believed in fairness. He looked down at Layla. She squeezed his hand. Take the job that helps us, Daddy, she whispered. Mama would want that. His chest tightened. He turned to the billionaire. I'll accept your offer. But I want one thing. Anything, Zaydan replied. Let my daughter keep learning Arabic from your people. She wants to stay connected to her mom. Zaydan smiled warmly. Then she will learn from the best. And she will always be welcomed as family. The crowd applauded as the billionaire extended his hand to Daniel. A handshake that marked the beginning of a new life. Elena sighed, amused. Beaten at chess and at recruiting. Not my best day. Layla giggled. You can still win next time. Zaydan chuckled. Not if she plays. The expo lights glowed over them as a simple janitor and his daughter suddenly stepped into a world they never imagined. All because a 6-year-old girl spoke truth. And Arabic.